Hey everybody, Money Viking G back with you again. I got an interesting one for you today. So kick back, let's explore something together. And the main question that I'm starting to get a lot of is it too late to buy Bitcoin? Is it too late to invest in Bitcoin? And the answer actually depends. Is there a sense of urgency right now? I think there is, because the Bitcoin supply is getting hoovered up. That's a reference to Hoover vacuums. Basically getting vacuumed up pretty quickly by, and that's looking to accelerate exponentially, actually, depending on the new administration's moves. But they seem to be promising and saying that they're going to take major action when it comes to Bitcoin, and specifically the Bitcoin strategic reserve concept. So is it too late to buy Bitcoin? So Bitcoin at the moment, hovering around 99, 98,000. So just around that, under that psychological $100,000 mark. The short answer is no, because as Money Vikings know, I love strategic portfolios because there's no perfect. You're never going to get any of this wealth building or investing perfect. Let me put it this way. Warren Buffett doesn't get it perfect. And he's the best there ever was. He's the best stock picker. He's one of the greatest investors of all time. And he gets it wrong sometimes. So the bottom line for those of us in the middle class is we have to have strategically designed portfolios. And what I mean by strategically designed, your assets have to be allocated in a way that makes most sense to you and makes most sense for your risk tolerance, your volatility tolerance, and your time horizon. If you need the money quickly, then really you just want it to be in cash. But anyway, back to Bitcoin. So much is happening and so much has happened. So, it's just a it's the most interesting time I've seen in crypto. And I've been involved with it for about 7.5 years. So quite some time. And so much has happened since the election, since the approval of Bitcoin ETFs, spot ETFs. And there's just all these forces are coming together to create the perfect storm, good storm in a way, a storm of profit and a storm of financial growth, actually, for Bitcoin specifically, the best performing asset now for several years. People are still having a hard time wrapping their brains around Bitcoin, and that's understandable. And what the point I came to, because I had a good friend say to me the other day, he said, well, there's no underlying fundamentals. I have no way to understand it. And I said, yeah, I get all that. But there's also no underlying fundamentals of gold. Gold is a rock. So that's why I always go back to the concept that it's digital gold. I understand with the Bitcoin white paper and Satoshi Nakamoto that it's supposed to be a currency. It's supposed to be a tradable currency. And I understand all that. And one that cannot be devalued, with inflation, one that cannot be devalued with the central bank printing, quote unquote, printing of money, okay, into the money supply, adding more to the money supply. So I always go back to digital gold. That's essentially what we're talking about. But the big difference between it and gold is that it's actually perfect gold. So what gold tries to do and has done for thousands of years is be a store of value that retains its value in spite of printing, quote unquote, paper currencies, government manipulations, etc. The other thing I realize that people have a hard time understanding, especially for those of us in the US dollar is the world's premier reserve currency. It's the premier store of capital because the dominance and the exceptionalism of the United States is better than ever, and it's not changing anytime soon. The United States will continue to dominate the economies, capital markets, and be a shining example on the hill of a good functioning system. It's not perfect, so don't get too excited. You don't need to leave like hateful comments about whatever the problems with the United States or whatever. And there's plenty. There's a lot of things that have to be done better in our country. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that are done right. You know, go live in a third world country. Go live in a country with an unstable currency that gets inflated to heck. And basically overnight, let's say your life savings of $100,000, overnight it's inflated and printed into oblivion, and it has the purchasing power of $1,000. That would be a really, really bad feeling. And that's something that Americans have not gone through. So that's a big draw of Bitcoin. If you're coming from one of those countries and you have a cell phone, and now almost everyone's getting a cell phone, it's basically, that's the concept here. You need a cell phone. You need connection to the internet and a cell phone, and you can hold a store of value. Okay. So back to the premise here. Is it too late to buy Bitcoin? The answer, of course, is no. It's not too late. For me, though, personally, and again, don't give financial advice, for me personally, time is of the essence, because I do think it's one of those crunch time moments where it's like time to take action, right? Because again, the stars are aligning for what they call the green God candle here at some point, because you just have regulatory coming in. You have some form of strategic Bitcoin reserve. Is it going to be the million Bitcoin that they talk about? Probably not. But there might be some compromise in there. There typically is. And the compromise would still be a good signal and would be a good thing for the price of Bitcoin. So you've got that coming in. What else is happening? You're getting massive institutional adoption. You're getting the BlackRocks, the market makers of the world, basically embracing it, creating ETF packages for people to consume. And so it's having its moment right now. It really is having its moment. And so is it too late to buy it? No, it's not too late. It would have been better to buy it a few months ago. But in my opinion, it's not too late. So, a dollar costing average approach, I think, is extremely reasonable. That's what I do. And just sort of let it ride through the ups and downs. Is it going to be volatile? It seems like it is going to be volatile, but there are theories that the volatility is going to diminish. So we're used to have really big peaks and valleys. Apparently we might have smaller valleys and a little smaller, it'll kind of be a little more measured in its approach, but I don't know. No one really knows. And so that's that. So my point is this, the bottom line is this. Is it too late? No, because it should be a long-term play. If you're going to do trading, too late doesn't matter for traders that are in and out. That doesn't matter. But if it's a long-term play, medium-term play, it's not too late. It should have good growth continuing, especially with all of the tailwinds that are coming to propel it upward. Maybe tailwinds might be an understatement of analogies. You might want to say rocket fuel from a SpaceX rocket, basically. So, not too late, still time. But again, for me, time is of the essence, because I think there is a moment right now where again, this thing is at 98,000, and I think there's a very, very reasonable case to be made that in months from now, it could be double that. So do you want to buy it at 99,000 or do you want to buy some at 200,000? Rather buy it at 99,000. That's the bottom line, guys. Hey, please like, subscribe if you made it this far. Appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one.